Humanity has always been afraid of the dark. It is a primal instinct written into our DNA from the days when we huddled around fires to keep the predators at bay. But as we evolved, as we built our telescopes and looked up, we found a comfort in the night sky. We saw that the darkness was not empty. It was filled with light, billions of stars, nebulae, and galaxies. We told ourselves that the universe is a crowded, busy place. We convinced ourselves that we are not alone in the void, but we were wrong. There are places in the universe where the light dies, places where the comforting tapestry of the cosmos is torn apart, revealing a cold, suffocating nothingness that defies logic. Deep in the direction of the constellation Boötes, nearly 700 million light-years from Earth, lies a monster. It is not a black hole, it is not a dead star. It is an anomaly so massive, so impossibly empty, that it forces us to question the very architecture of reality. Welcome to the great nothing. Welcome to the Boötes Void. To truly understand the horror of this anomaly, we must first understand what the universe is supposed to look like. When astronomers map the cosmos on its grander scale, they don't see a random scattering of dust. They see a structure, a masterpiece of gravity, known as the cosmic web. Imagine a spider web stretching across existence. The strands of this web are made of flowing rivers of dark matter and thousands of galaxies bound together by mutual attraction over billions of years. These filaments are the highways of the universe. They are where life, energy, and matter congregate. They form massive walls like the Sloan Great Wall or the Hercules Corona Borealis Great Wall. Structures so large they break the human mind's ability to comprehend scale. This is the normal state of our reality, a connected, glowing network of matter. Gravity is the architect, and it likes to keep things together. Between these colossal walls of light, there are naturally occurring gaps. We call them voids. Think of them as the empty bubbles in a cosmic foam. As gravity pulls galaxies toward the heavy filaments, these regions are left behind, becoming less dense over eons. It is normal to find voids in the universe. A typical cosmic void might stretch for a few million light-years across. They are the quiet neighborhoods of the cosmos, the spaces between the cities. Astronomers expect them. Our mathematical models predict them. They are a necessary part of the universal balance. But there is a limit to how big these empty spaces should get. The standard model of cosmology suggests that matter should be distributed relatively evenly once you zoom out far enough. A void shouldn't simply go on forever. But in 1981, we found something that broke all the rules. The year was 1981. Astronomer Robert Kirshner, along with his colleagues Oemler, Schechter, and Schechtman, was conducting a redshift survey of the galactic sky. They were building a 3D map of the universe, expecting to see that familiar, comforting web of galaxies. But as they processed the data from a specific patch of sky near the constellation Boötes, their instruments returned nothing. At first, it must have looked like an error, a glitch in the telescope, a corrupted data file. They checked again and again. Everywhere they looked in this specific direction, the universe was silent. They weren't looking at a small gap between filaments. They were staring into an abyss so profound that it shocked the scientific community. They had discovered a spherical region of emptiness that simply shouldn't exist. The Boötes Void is not just a hole, it is a titan. Modern measurements estimate its diameter to be anywhere between 250 million and 330 million light-years. Let that number sink in. 330 million light-years. Light, which travels fast enough to circle the Earth 7 times in a single second, would take 330 million years to cross this darkness. If you entered this void at the time dinosaurs first appeared on Earth, traveling at the speed of light, you would only be emerging from the other side today. It is a sphere of nearly absolute vacuum, that accounts for approximately 0.27% of the entire observable universe. It is a supervoid, a monster that dwarfs everything else we have ever discovered. Human brains are not wired to comprehend astronomical numbers. So, let's bring this down to Earth. Imagine the scale of our home. The Milky Way galaxy is a behemoth containing up to 400 billion stars. It is vast beyond imagining. Now, take that entire galaxy and shrink it down to the size of a single frozen pea. If the Milky Way is that pea, the Boötes Void is not the size of a basketball. It isn't the size of a house. In this scale model, the Boötes Void would be the size of the Empire State Building. Imagine an Empire State Building completely hollowed out, entirely empty, except for that one single pea floating in the center. That is the density, or the lack thereof, that we are dealing with. It is a ghost town on a galactic scale. This is where the science gets uncomfortable. According to the Lambda CDM model, the standard model of Big Bang cosmology, a void of this magnitude is a statistical impossibility. The universe hasn't been around long enough for gravity to clear out a space this large. To create a hole of this size, you would need billions upon billions of years of slow gravitational shifting. The Boötes Void is simply too big and too empty for its age. It's like walking into a crowded forest and finding a perfect circular clearing 10 miles wide where not a single blade of grass grows. It suggests that either our understanding of gravity is fundamentally flawed, or something else, something active, cleared this space out. But the Boötes Void has one final twist of the knife. It isn't perfectly empty. If it were completely empty, it might be easier to explain. Instead, inside this 330 million light-year sphere, astronomers have found a handful of survivors. In a region of space this size, based on the density of the rest of the universe, we should find at least 10,000 massive galaxies. We should see at the first £5 billion of the industry over. Instead, after decades of scanning, we have found only about 60 galaxies. 60. Imagine a city meant for 10 million people, inhabited by only 60 souls, scattered miles apart, never knowing the others exist. These are the loneliest objects in the universe. Even stranger is how these 60 galaxies are arranged. They aren't scattered randomly. They seem to form a sort of tube or filament running through the center of the void. This suggests that the Boötes Void might have formed from the collision of smaller voids. Imagine smaller bubbles of empty space expanding until they touch and merge, wiping out the walls of galaxies between them, leaving only a few survivors stranded in the middle. It's a violent cosmic merger that wiped the map clean. But even this theory struggles to explain the sheer perfection of the void's emptiness. This brings us to a haunting thought experiment. Imagine if our Earth was located inside one of these lonely galaxies in the center of the Boötes Void. If you looked up at the night sky, you would see nothing. No stars, other than the few immediate neighbors in our own spiral. No Andromeda, no distant nebulae. Just an endless, crushing black. Civilizations evolving in the Boötes Void would have no concept of a universe. They would believe that their single island of stars was the entirety of existence. They would have no way of knowing that billions of other galaxies exist beyond the darkness. They would be prisoners of their own isolation, trapped in a dark box, completely unaware of the cosmic web outside. It makes you wonder, what are we not seeing? So, what is the cause? The most accepted scientific explanation points the finger at dark energy. This is the mysterious force that is accelerating the expansion of the universe. In regions where matter is slightly less dense, gravity loses the battle. Dark energy takes over, pushing space apart faster and faster. The Boötes Void could be a window into our future, a place where dark energy has already won. A place where the expansion of space has become so rapid that it has ripped the cosmic web apart, leaving nothing but a wasteland. If this is true, then the Boötes Void is not just an anomaly, it is a prophecy. This is what the entire universe will look like in the distant future. Cold, dark, empty. But humans love a mystery, and the silence of the void draws out darker theories. Some physicists and futurists have looked at the Kardashev scale, a method of measuring a civilization's technological advancement. A Type 3 civilization is one that can harvest the energy of an entire galaxy. What if the Boötes Void isn't empty? What if it's full? If a civilization expanded across millions of light years, encapsulating stars in Dyson spheres to harvest their energy, the light from those stars would disappear. To an outside observer like us, looking through a telescope, the region would simply go dark. The stars wouldn't be missing, they would be hidden. Taking this further, we have the concept of self-replicating von Neumann probes, machines designed to explore, mine, and replicate. If such a technology went rogue, it could consume entire star systems for raw materials, exponentially spreading outwards. A wave of self-replicating machines consuming galaxies would look exactly like an expanding sphere of darkness. Is it likely? Probably not. The heat signatures would likely still be visible, but the fact that we cannot rule it out completely is enough to keep astrobiologists awake at night. Whether it is the result of runaway dark energy, a statistical fluke of gravity, or something far more artificial, the Boötes Void serves as a humble reminder. We like to think of the universe as being built for us, or at least filled with things we can explore. But the great nothing reminds us that the universe is mostly empty space. It is cold, indifferent, and vast, beyond our wildest nightmares. We live on a tiny, fragile raft of light, floating in an ocean of darkness that stretches on forever. And right next door, there is a hole so big it could swallow our past, present, and future without a whisper. The universe is full of mysteries, and the Boötes Void is just the beginning. What do you think lies in the center of the great nothing? Is it just empty space, or is something hiding in the dark? Let me know your theories in the comments below. If this journey into the abyss fascinated you, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Vault Insights. We are just getting started exploring the unknown side of science. I'll see you in the next one. Stay curious.